All right, so we're talking about price versus value, right? Good, it's working. So let me give you an example of cars. I mean, cars are the greatest example for this, right? So you've got the person who is going to shop via price, right? So I'm going to get a Kia because, thank you very much. I'm going to get a Kia because it's a great value to me for the money, right? Because I care about price. I want to get the best price for something that's going to do a good job. Now let's talk about value. They're a Mercedes owner. Okay. So you just spent 75,000, let's say, on a spiced up, spruced up, cool Mercedes. You might have the money to do that. Fantastic. But it's really not about the price. It's about the value. What value are you creating with that? Is it how you feel? Is it how you think you look to others? Is it a gift to yourself that you'll treasure forever? You see, so this is the value that we place on it. All right. So there's people who shop by price and there's people who understand the value. Now, I had a conversation this week with someone who wanted to work with me on career exploration. You know, I work with people on figuring out what to do with their life. And then I work with coaches and service-based business owners to make their business fly by having their own methodology. So I talked to both. So I was talking to this career explorer gentleman. He's telling me how for 10 years he's been suffering over his job and what he should do and what he's really supposed to do. And maybe he's just lazy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when we look like we're headed towards working together, and then he asks, you know, how much it costs to work with me. And I told him, and he sticker shock, right? And now he works in sales. So he actually did this himself. He made my job easy. He said, wait a minute, I'm in sales. I know it's not about the price, it's about the value. And I said, that's right. What's the value to you of getting rid of 10 years of suffering and no longer suffering anymore? What's the value to you to solve the mystery that you've been putting up with for a decade? And he gave me his credit card. All right. So he volunteered it. So when we speak in terms of value, especially when someone has a price objection, that's where it is. And you have to understand when people say, you know, I value myself or I charge what I'm worth, it's not about your worth as a person. It's about the value you create. And it's hard if you're someone who creates a lot of value and you're in a crowded market and people can do it for less, right? So you're going to become that Mercedes. What makes people buy the Mercedes? Spend more to get the value. What's the value they value? All right. So now let's talk about job negotiation, right? So there's price, there's salary, there's value. The value you bring to an organization. Do you save them money? Do you make them money? Do you do things in less time because you see the patterns in the chaos and you solve problems, right? So when we're negotiating in a job, even, it's not just about the money, it's about the value you create and that you bring. One of the best examples that I remember from this is a Tony Robbins story. Actually, Tony Robbins tells how he was doing a contract with one of the big groups that does audio, you know, so this is going back many years, but like, you know, the big audio sets that you used to buy and the whole Tony Robbins set. And the company that produced it, they had a set price that they used for authors and he refused it. He was like, no, that's not appropriate. And they're like, well, yes, it is. That's what we pay everybody. We pay everybody the same thing. And he said, wait a minute, I'm not everybody, you know, and he showed where his Q rating, which is how popular you are out in the stratosphere, you know, the kind of viability and visibility he has and what he was actually going to bring to them. He completely changed the structure of that agreement with them. It wasn't a flat fee. I'm sure he ended up doing something that was based on how many he sold in a much more generous way. But he was able to prove his value beyond the price. So I put this distinction out there today because, you know, it applies to all of us. It applies to all of us. And this conversation I had this week just made it so clear. So remember, whether you are having a sales conversation, selling yourself on a job, selling your services, or even being a consumer, remember price versus value. That's the psychology of how you buy and how the people you interact with might take on your services. So I hope that's valuable to you today. You can find me here Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm pretty consistent unless it's a holiday. And if you're on one of my social media platforms, share this if you think it'll be valuable to people you know. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you here next time. Thank you. And thanks for your tip about the sound. We'll get it worked out. Bye.